What up? Blueprints day 50. So observing that title screen, it looked like room 46, and I did see a bishop there. So just in case, I'm gonna write that shit down. What up, M Bun? Sorry, opening all of my notes and stuff. I should probably do that, like, prior. But I don't. Leftover pie. Go on, tell me more. Pumpkin and apple. Nice. Yoink. I hate that you can't walk on those. Okay, thinking about more of my goals, but also cannot remember what I've been thinking about. Obviously the shop, the bookstore I mean, is what we've been wanting. Oh yeah, we did actually buy every single book already, so we don't even need that anymore. There's the library. I know throughout the work days, the last few days, that I remembered more goals. But right now, I cannot remember what I was remembering. So, I forget. Of course, Sanctum Doors is always that. For those right now, I don't even know where to look to get the Sanctum keys. Let me think. I gotta start noting all chess pieces so I can do the puzzle underground. I bet that shows me a sigil. I don't know if it gives me a key, but I'm sure it'll show me a sigil. Hi, Dana. Let's do a little twerk. My knees be crackling. Merry Christmas. How was your holiday, Dana? The whole garage thing on the left. I remember. Oh yeah. So the garage can be powered by steam as well. I've never done that yet. Don't know what that does. It was nice. Nice. And it just snowed. Ew. No snow here. Temperatures are in the 30s, but no snow. And regarding that goal about the garage and boiler, excuse me, I kind of want to start heading right first so that I can, you know, make sure, get an idea of what kind of rooms are in my pool. And then get a high garage up here is the goal. The boiler room can also power... there was another room that I haven't had it power, I believe. So, once I remember that, well, it'll be another goal. You're cuddling with Calypso? Oh, I want to see. Big Berth. What up? Oh yeah, there's a lot of keys I still don't know about. And Loa McLoa. L hallway. I have to just get the breaker box immediately. I mean, yeah, come on. Utility closet is always fucking good. Every time. Hello. Me? Wait. For sure I have Mario Kart 8 on Switch. We'll hang on to that. My holiday was just alright. I mean, Christmas itself was beautiful. Commissary. I don't know if I'm really saving money right now. So let's fucking spend it. Why do I have 36? I mean, shit. Use in your mouth? Jeez. Shit, I don't know if I'm gonna dig out my Switch. But I'll think about it. Tummy time. He was having tummy time. Oh, I already checked this one out. Let's go. The History of Orindia. Which I've found out Orindia might be the name of, let's call it the Western Hemisphere. Oh, what the fuck? Hang on, I got the doorbell. Hello? Sorry. What up, Killer Cam? How are you? Hope you had a good holiday. Sorry to make you worry. Uh, my mom showed up to my house unexpectedly. Okay. What the heck is going on? Also, there are a bunch of like explosions in the distance. Kind of weird. Okay, so we're reading the history of Arindia, and I was just saying, yeah, I could like see flashes a couple miles out, but they're not like fireworks flashes. They're not like pretty designs. It's literally a flash. Kind of crazy. Let's see here. Looking at my notes, I wanted to mention, because the word Orindia and the word Orinda both appear. And so I was making the assumption Orindia is like one half of the planet. I was calling it like Western Hemisphere, for example. Not entirely accurate, but that's just what I'm referring to it as for now. And within this section of Orindia is Orinda, Aries, Arch Aries, and Fen Aries. The three Aries, which might, I don't know, man. I don't know how to look at it as. I believe, Orinda is the former name of this nation, which is now under Fen Aries or something like that. And then Arch Aries is like Canada, they're just up there. Maybe Eraha is unrelated to us, but just connected by land. And in the game itself right now, we're seeing it say the history of Orindia, Ahera to Eraha. And I don't know what that means. By Caleb Manning. And this is the first edition, so there's not going to be corrections. So we're going to learn the history. Ruffington Red Publishing, 1979. Forward. Orindia was once the name used to designate the realms of the Eastern Waters, though the term is no longer employed in the halls of politics, nor commonly known to the average citizen. Its memory flickers in the hearts of those who hail from the lands that it once encompassed, and many of the elder generation, in hushed circles, still refer to themselves as Orindians. Okay, confirming a little bit of what I was recalling. Okay. Yet, we must not let the flame of our history dwindle into the obscurity of whispered conversations, nor permit our leaders to enjoin us to abandon the name of our land. We must keep alive the embers of our past and preserve them for the generations yet to come. Chapter 1. Ahera. Most historians mark the beginning of the First Era, often denoted as Ahera, by the ascension of the first king of Orindia, whose name, Oris? I'm just gonna go with Oris. Would later grace the burgeoning township in which he was crowned. I gotta reread that in my head. Okay. Oris was known before his coronation as a prominent merchant lord of considerable means and affluence, whose sway in the region made him the ideal candidate for the unification of the surrounding provinces. Regrettably, history is not always forthcoming, and the surviving records of those bygone days are mostly limited to trade agreements and sales receipts. Nevertheless, we can deduce from these ledgers that Oris had but one aim: expansion. The territory spread forth from the heart of Oris, and by the end of the 1st century, the black banners of Orindia could be seen fluttering in every hamlet and hostelry. Along every thoroughfare from Oris all the way to the western banks, a new kingdom was born. Castle Orindia. Oh, imagine he makes a sequel and it's a fucking castle instead. So some rooms will only have doors in the upper floors, so you can eventually be like several stories high. Anyway, Chapter 2, Second Era. It was the 4th king of Orindia who split this vast domain in 3 equal shares, 3 realms for his 3 children. To the eldest, he granted the fields and mountains of his great-grandfather, the middle province and heartspring of the kingdom. The eldest accepted the gift and called his new realm Orinda Ares, after the angelic paragon of royalty. Orinda. To the youngest, he bestowed upon him the realm of Arch Ares, the land of the northern storms, a wild and untamed expanse, which at the time was not as developed, but a good deal more vast than the eldest brother's lot. And to his middle child, his only daughter, he gifted her the southern region of Eraha, the mystical realm of the ancestors, a land steeped in tradition, magic, and the poetry of the old tongue. The old tongue. I wonder if that might be that gibberish-looking note in the tomb, written in purple. Okay. 4th king who splits the realm to his 3 children. 2 dudes and a daughter. Southern region of Eraha. Okay, Chapter 3, Third Era. As the Second Era drew to a close, the 3 sovereign realms had achieved a period of remarkable progress and prosperity. Each of these distinct regions, ruled by their respective sibling monarchs, had blossomed, cultivating the bountiful resources of their lands and developing a unique character and culture that set them apart from one another. Despite those differences, the sibling monarchs managed to maintain friendly relations throughout their lives, and were known for their cooperation in matters of trade and transportation. The succeeding generations of their heirs continued that tradition, and the Third Era was defined by the construction of a vast network of railways that spanned the length and breadth of the land, linking the northern mountains of Archaeres to the southern shores of Eraha. This development facilitated travel and commerce between the three realms, further strengthening their bond and laying the foundation for the promise of a prosperous and bright future. A promise that would, unfortunately, as my readers will soon find, not kept. Whoa. Okay. That was not entirely correct. Chapter... Oh, I don't know if I screenshotted this one. Chapter 4, Fourth Era. As the kingdom of Orinda Ares entered the Fourth Era, a different kind of ruler took the reins of power. King Desolates III was a king who listened to the voices of all his subjects, from the most influential advisors to the humblest of citizens. He was a king who often was seen among the people, eating, drinking, and conversing, a sight that shocked not only the gentry and the court, but the masses as well, who would scarce believe that they, as peasantry, would ever sup with the crown. Desolates was renowned as the king of the people, and it was therefore a surprise to no one when he made the decision to move the capital from the secluded mountains of Reddington to the public stage of Oris, leaving castle and court behind. The people were overjoyed by this choice, and the city welcomed their king with open arms and great fanfare. Yet not all were swayed so easily. There were those that viewed the king's conduct to be unbecoming of his station, and were wary of how readily he could be persuaded by the tears and tales of the common folk. These dissenting voices planted the seeds of discontent, which took root in the lawns and gardens of the nobles of Fen, or, as I've been instructed to say, the grand city of Fen. Wow. Rebellious author. Chapter 5, Era of Ruin. After the passing of King Desolates III, the Fourth Era came to an abrupt end. Thankfully, the king died naturally in his old age and surrounded by his people in Oris, far away from the growing unrest among the western city of Fen. On the very next day, the 6th of October, the self-proclaimed Prince Learson of Fen declared himself as the true monarch. His declaration was bolstered by a surprising number of supporters due to the fact that Desolates IV shared his father's good name, but little of his virtues. As the prospect of civil war seemed inevitable, the realm's regiments were hastily recalled from the frontiers to stamp out and put an end to the Fensurrection. However, instead of restoring order, what ensued was a savage and merciless campaign against their own people. The Gardens of Fen, once a center of splendor, were transformed into a battlefield as the cries of the innocent echoed through the city's streets, stained in red. The brutality of the pacification of Fen did not go unnoticed by neighbors, as sympathy for the city surged, allies came forward to lend support. Among them was the general of the Northern Regiment who, sickened by the barbaric actions of the other battalions, joined forces with Prince Learson to form a formidable army. Together, they leveraged their political influence and favors to persuade the nearby realms of Archaeres and Nuance to join their cause. However, even with the tide turning in their favor, victory did not come easy. The War of the Fifth Era lasted 22 years long, and saw buried 1 in every 3 men. Prince Learson himself added another number to the casualties. However, even in death he had won, Oris had fallen, and with it the realm. The black flags that had flown for 5 eras were burned, and in their place, red banners were hoisted in honor of the fallen of Fen. The few remaining members of the former royal family fled in fear of their lives to the south, wherever exiled. Chapter 6: The Current Era. Today, the realms inherited by the 3 Fen Ares, Arch Ares, and Eraha once again stand united as allies. Though the distance between our peoples has grown, our connection to this land remains as strong as ever. The spruce and birch that span across our realms serve as a constant reminder that we all share a common past. And as those trees continue to grow, so do our hopes for a common future. A future where we are not defined by the colors of the banners we raise, but by that which connects us. A land that we each call home. For this is, despite everything else, a land rich in history, a land of myth and wonder. A land that sprung forth the greatest empire the world has ever seen. The land of our fathers, of our mothers, and of our children. This land is, after all, that has happened. Still Orindia. Okay, so that is a lot of information, but I don't know which parts of it to use for where. Okay, that's why this is talking about a political statement. It's no longer Orinda Ares, it is Fen Ares. Should have wrote that. I'm pretty sure I did write it. Here we go. Yeah, Fen Ares. Arch Ares. Eraha. I spelled that wrong. It's whatever. And nuance here. Nuance was not brought up more than once. All we know is that they helped fight them. Yeah, and then the other half of the world is over here. The, let's say, Eastern Hemisphere. I don't know if we know anything about them other than that's where Mordejai boxes come from, is Mordejai. Maybe we do know, but I just don't know. I just forgot. Okay, so I can't actually check out a book today, which is unfortunate. Bro, those explosion noises outside are... They seem too crazy to be fireworks. Anyway. Secret garden key. Lockpick. Gem. Bishop in the attic. Some coins. Gem. Coin purse. Pouch. Coin pouch. And a key. And another gem. Okay. Oh, another gem. Okay, I'm gonna write down the fact that Bishop is in the attic. Yeah, that was my intent with naming everything I picked up, was to hopefully keep track, but it didn't work. I should just count 1, 2, 3. It's 5 gems. It's like so close to being nothing. And let's just grab that now that I have a salt shaker. Okay, I gave myself 2 dead ends already, so let's hope this western wing doesn't fuck me too hard. Okay. What are these called? Rook, right? Yeah, Rook and the Nook. We already know that. You heard of Elf on a Shelf? Wow, it's already 3:50. I was gone so long. And then I read a book for so long. Stupid keyhole box is so suspicious. There's so many clocks in this room, it's so suspicious. They should put coins in the couch cushions more often. Or at all. I don't think they've ever been. Yeah, I can go for a lab. Especially since I already turned off the power for the security. Grew up with a house with a den, but it was for company, so we almost never used it. It was weird having one furnished room we basically never used. I don't know if I ever screenshotted this, but I'm sure it'll come in handy, so let's do it. Oh, hello, battery. I've never seen you in here. One day I hope to have many rooms furnished that I never use. For now, they're all empty. Let's go and do the small chest thing. I like that. Makes cleaning more tedious. Oh, for sure, man. You're right. It's gonna be annoying, but I gotta do it. This would be ideal for, like, classroom days, which is not today. So let's... No, I probably won't get more shops either, because I already used all my coin. But I won't be doing archived either. Because I hate that. Let's just go with that. It's whatever. It's whatever. Yeah, I mean, I will definitely relate. My dining room has been being used lately, but now that all the party season is over, I'm never gonna just sit there myself in the dining room. Excuse me. In fact, pretty much my living room I also almost never use so far. Yeah, you know what? This is a good spot for a dark room. And if we get a closet at the other end of it, that'll be great. I'm probably not even gonna go turn the light back on. Okay. Damn. Probably should have. The other one might have been closet. Does Ladyship Chamber cost a gem? I don't believe so. I don't think any bedrooms do. Maybe master bedroom. Oh, servant's quarter does. And master bedroom costs 2. Nursery costs 1? Wow. This will trigger my experiment, I believe. Plus, this is just the best option right now. Oh, it didn't trigger. Oh, it does. It did trigger. Okay. We can click these. Okay. Not gonna garage yet. We'll grab a kitchen, I guess. Just... fuck. I'm just gonna plop the chapel here. Because I could ignore it forever then. And actually, I should have done this. Oh! The hoot. And shit, I mean... Maybe we'll just grab a terrace. I mean, there's a good spot to throw the furnace away. But it also gives me more red rooms while drafting. Which is annoying. Although I've already used 2, so it's kind of whatever. And terrace is only positive. Okay, I agree with that. Or rather, you agree with that. If drafted adjoined to a red room, it is. It doesn't have to be from a red room? Oh shit. I don't know if that's right or not, so I'm super want to do it and find out. Right? This calls for a learning situation. It's fucking empty. It's fucking empty. Why is it written like that then? Everything everything always says if drafted from a blah blah blah. God damn it. Oh, I was so hyped. I thought I was being smart. Okay, free green room. Damn, my east side options are trash. I super duper wonder if there's a point to draining the aquarium. These all represent rooms in the house. I never noticed that until now. Are they always the same though, I wonder? Yeah, no biggie, but, you know, I just wanted it to be true, because I wanted 4 items. Before we hop in there, let's open this. Really don't like the lockpick. It's sick when it works, but more often than not, it just doesn't work. haven't been noticing chess pieces for a while. Oh, I should have special keyed. Fuck. Who keeps their shovel in the walk-in closet? Why is it in here? Oh man, I'm wrong. My throat feels very raspy tonight. I believe I wrote pawn already. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, walk-in closet. We have 2 keys and no shovel, yeah. More of a coffee person. I'm gonna do this because I want the garage on the top left. But I drink both all the time. Damn, only dead ends. It's not really worth redrawing. Well, I have 4. Nice. I always have just like instant coffee though. Nothing fancy. No, no thank you. I don't care that much. Finally, it worked. Man, no fucking security doors. I got 2 security doors so far, even though I put it on high. I fucking... Ugh. Game is annoying. Give me a shovel, dude. Yeah. I'm gonna save the rerolls for the garage. Windows cracked. I like that. To me, I just want to go outside and look around. Yeah. I powered it with the utility closet already. I don't know what the fuck. The steam room does for it, the boiler room. Damn. That's okay. This run is whatever. Yeah, somehow I have a lot of coin, but the hell am I gonna do with it? 2 pawns in bunk room. Okay, well this run is fucked, I mean. Did I even eat my meal? Didn't check if Piggy bank is back. Oh shit. So I still give money, but the altar for it is closed, and these are already lit. So I really think it's just over for that. That kind of sucks. I have nothing to do with my shitload of money every run. Okay, Bishop, though, is in the church. What's it called? Chapel. We need to find a queen piece. And then I might be able to do the puzzle downstairs. Again, still betting that it's to reveal a sigil design, if not just a sanctum key. Tell me that's not the same clock in the den, except it doesn't sit on a box with a keyhole. I think I just end it, right? Let's see. Yeah, I was working on the mountain region, which I now know is Arch Aries. The color yellow. They explained it as being in the book more open, vast. Didn't say anything about weather. I don't know if I can solve that sigil quite yet. Is there anything I'd want to magnify right now? Yeah, actually, in the dark room. There's a guy whom I've been assuming is like one of the lawyers or something. Oh shit. Something memos found in Hartley's room are always false. Green, I guess it says. Hartley. Is Hartley the servants' quarters? I guess this room might be Hartley's room, which could be the servants' quarters. mirror. He's obviously taking a selfie in the mirror in the lavatory because there's the bath. But so what? Red. P. Murder. Murder. Red rum. Oh, what? Oh, this is the office I never made. And there's a queen in there. Holy shit. That's literally what I just asked about. Yeah, we're gonna go do that this run. Gotta really look at these pictures, man. Everything is done with so much intent. It's actually just crazy. Like, what room are they in? Can't tell. What room is that? With a lot of vegetation. High ceiling, big windows. Don't know. Okay, well, we know Hartley's room now is always false, according to him. Even the green ones. Which, I believe there's only one, from what I remember, but... I don't know. Oh, I never read this. I still can't read it. What? Something is unaffected. Looks like cooler is unaffected. But, I don't know. Why would they make it hard even with a magnifying glass? The fuck? What's your problem, Tonda Ross? Let's go look at this. With magnifying glass. No, there's nothing else, dude. Fuck. You know, I believe the chairs in the dining room have this design on them. I should probably look in the orchard more than once. I only went in there that one time. Oh wait, I don't have an office. Just because I know Queen goes in the office doesn't mean I have an office. God damn it. So it won't trigger no matter what. Well, did not think that through very well. I guess I'll go look in the orchard while I have a dead run with many steps. Yeah, I feel like that is super sus. But I guess not. I mean, there's nothing else to look at in here. Also, why is it so dilapidated? It's literally his job to take care of it. This lawnmower should be a tool I can take. I don't know what else to make of the orchard, if anything. Just in case. And be right back. Let's get it. Bum, bum. Cabinet. Hold on, hold on. What was I looking at the other day? It was telling me about security doors. What was that? I don't know. Okay, blue box is true. You're in the parlor. This box is empty. Yeah, so this one. Oh, I forgot. I need more red rooms. God damn it. The L bit of a waste. fuck, I went in and out. We're gonna go with this one next. This one sounds like a fiction story, but we'll just have to see. Makes me wonder if there's more here. Because of the way the room is here, there's still space here. As if there could be something tucked away. But maybe not. There needs to be a permanent upgrade for the dark room. Gosh. What if there is? Find the thing tripping the fuse all the time? That'd be cool. Damn, these options I don't like. Whatever. Just go. Oh my god, I could have a power hammer. Any reason not to? You can just check it on everything. Yoink. Yeah, the greenhouse. Oh my god. Yeah, honestly this run is weird. Like, I have nothing. Let's just go. Okay, well... Okay. This is actually useful. I could get a key that'll let me go north from the Foundation. There's actually something in the observatory that I learned about last stream. But my run is likely gonna end because there probably will not spawn a key in here. But I mean, fuck it. honestly. No. Observatories appear all the time. Having a power hammer does not happen often. Let's get that key. Hopefully the run can continue. There's the observatory anyway. Oh, I see the smiley face here. More dead ends. Let's do this. But the other way. Oh yeah, a little door right here. Yeah, let's take that. Planetarium! We call it a day in planetarium. Gain 2. Aw, that's kind of lame. What do you just say no? It's just gone forever? And lock. Oh, it's open. Fuck. Wow, it's open. Let's see. I would get 3 keys if I do this. I can confirm this is the... Yeah, this is definitely the room in the drawing. So this has to be Hartley's room, and the green note is false. So there are not 12 major keys? That doesn't help, like... I don't know what to... What the fuck, man? That helps, like, not at all. Bad one, Tonderas, bad one. Shit. I'm about to just freeze my money. It's my only option, other than bedroom, which would be dumb. Could try to confirm about the backside of the freezer. with my remaining steps. Damn, I was wrong. I still want to check this side as well, though. Check the freezer. Everything in there is always frozen. But by telling me that, you're basically just telling me straight up everything in there is not always frozen. This sucky day so far. Sucky session. Look at my coin. I was thinking about, like, how people make fun of the foot fetish thing. So, like, what if my version of 69 is just with the feet? Oh, hey Hank. That would have been a good thing to check, yeah. But I'm also glad that I checked the back of the freezer, as I've been wondering that for a while. What's up, Big Hank? What'd you get for Christmas? Or you too, M-Bun, I guess. Sorry. Utility closet. Nope. Whoa. Just library. No reading nook. No classroom. Just straight up library. But let's just get a key anyway. And then get the library right after. Oh, just another library. Jesus. Well, let's just get a bunch of classrooms first. You start working on the grades. Derby game and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake. Oh, did you? I have to assume you already played Thousand Door Year remake. Which is unfortunate, but also, you know, that's still very nice. Oh, you didn't play Remake. Cool. Sick. There you go, man. That's dope. Dope. You got $200 off a Switch 2. And a lot of puzzles. What is that? I feel like your answer is a puzzle. I was thinking about how every classroom has been pretty helpful information, but this one seems like a lot of useless information. Water, ice, and steam. Oh, wait. Didn't you already get a Switch 2? I thought you did already. This one's missing two elements. Oh, I don't know why in my head you already got one. Cool. I think this is also just missing, yeah, even the one in the lab is just missing these two. Huh. What could that mean? Well, $2 off, $200 off is a lot of fucking money, so congrats on that. Oh, desperate for gems to get more classrooms. That's how the periodic table works? Oh, okay. What's the reason? The whole 2 rows go in that the 2 blank spots? That's weird, bro. You're being weird right now, man. kidding. I guess I never thought about why the periodic table is shaped like that in the first place. Okay, I will make sure to forget as soon as I finish reading that sentence. Okay, another book. The Curse of Black Bridge by Redford Ewing. Forward. The legend of Blackbridge is one that's well known to the people of the Grand Realm, for versions of this tale have been passed down from generation to generation. With each new telling, the story has changed, becoming over the years more colorful, more verbose, and, as one might expect, increasingly horrifying. However, with so many renditions and unique personal touches, the task of confining and binding this tale to text seemed an ambitious and impossible challenge. Over the course of my research, I've heard dozens of variations of the legend, and while the details would often change, I was surprised at how much of the story's heart remained the same. Yet, the more I listened, the clearer it became that there could never be a definitive version of this tale capable of capturing all the wonder and myth of Black Bridge. In the end, I chose to write down what felt most authentic, the story my grandmother told me as a boy long ago. Part 1. The Berry Picker from Oris. Holy fuck. Oh my. Holy fuck. I don't want to read this right now. You sent hello at 9:28, so you've been here for 11 minutes. A book coupon is saving $1 on each purchase. Coupon book, dummy. Oh, Hank, you're always so freaking dumb. Please, let that be offset by how often I call you smart. Okay. What is going on with this suspiciousness here? Don't tell me that's nothing. Do you think this goes up and reveals something? I bet it does. But I have no way to figure out how. Or is nothing, like the library arrow. Just a reused wooden asset. But when in a game full with intentional everything, you gotta wonder. No, there's fucking nothing back there, dude. I can see. Whatever. Wait, is my run over? Fuck. $82 right now. And for what? Look, this is not the same asset. It's not reused. Those arrows are so intentional. Just like that one is. But I don't know for what. Ultra mega meta type shit. What if I do this? What if I do this? Alright, Ambon. Let's hear it. Saw some highlights. How to get so much allowance? No, I just froze my assets from the last run. So I have 82. My normal allowance is 27. Yeah, they do. I think it's just... These ones are all spanning the length of the rooms they're indicating. And I'm pretty sure there's other blueprints laying around the house showing the same. But I'll keep it in mind in case anything happens. I've been clicking, dude. I'm spamming click. You just can't tell sometimes. In the reservoir, Hank, I got 6 allowance from that. And then I solved another Sanctum Sigil and got 2 more from that, I believe. Well, this one is fucked. Let's read a book. Many years ago, before peace had become a familiar word, there lived a group of rogues so wayward that the locals deemed it appropriate to call their number the Unholy Hounds. They were feral outlaws composed of society's worst in a time when society was at its worst. And for each crime that fearful travelers credited to the group, a dozen more lay unclaimed, each worse than the last. For the gentry, however, who often value their coffers more than their companions, no crime could measure more wicked than the group's primary enterprise, high road robbery. One such member of the so-called band of rogues was a boy of 13 years, Jesper, who had not been lucky in life, having lost 2 brothers to war and parents to famine. In the years of hunger that followed, Jesper lived in a gutter behind a churchyard, relying on the nourishment of scurrying bugs and weeds harvested from the cracks of the alleyway to sustain his pitiful existence. It is not surprising that a child aiming to escape such hardships would take any easy road out, an easy and well-traveled road paved with temptations, leading out of the city and into the gentry lands, where loose purse strings entwine with the strands of salvation and glisten equally with the hope of opportunity. It was this road that eventually led Jesper to the end of his youth, a hidden cave at the bottom of Black Bridge Canyon. It was here that he met his surrogate family and saviors, that notorious gang of godless outlaws known as the Unholy Hounds. Despite the hardened circumstances that had led him to this vocation of banditry, Jesper was surprisingly tender-hearted and was often teased by the group for being too kind for such an ignoble life. For this reason, Jesper was assigned the innocent role of berry picker. It was not just innocence that set berry picking apart from the gang's more wicked undertakings, for it was the only duty performed without the safety of night's concealment. Jesper, no stranger to solitude, did not protest that he alone worked while the others slept soundly, tucked away in the cave at the bottom of Black Bridge Canyon. On one such occasion, Jesper decided to get an early start. He left the cave, berry basket in hand, and set out into the woods before the morning sun had even brushed against the tallest treetops. It was colder in the mornings, but the headway dawn afforded meant Jesper would reach the furthermost berry patches without worry of being chastised for tarrying upon his return. It took over 3 hours on foot to reach his destination, and along the way, Jesper had passed by many a familiar bush, all priorly pillaged and so bereft of berries that one would have to dedicate several moments in earnest examination before finding a single one. Jesper was patient, but even patience has its limit. He was confident that even accounting for the time lost to this long stretch of travel, his efforts would be well worth the pains. Surveying the patches in this new grove surprised even Jesper. The red dots suspended among the leaves seemed as numerous as stars in the skies. Upon seeing such a bounteous sight, he clutched his berry basket tightly and nearly toppled over out of joy. Once he had regained his senses, Jesper quickly made a decision. He would not reveal the location of this newfound treasure. Instead, he would earn the respect of his confederates who, upon seeing his yield, might attribute the success to hard work. Smiling at his plan, Jesper set off to fill his basket and was making steady strides in this task when the sound of thundering hooves interrupted him. A carriage is approaching. The thought of it made Jesper freeze. Had he been so enchanted by his discovery that he had neglected to observe his surroundings? How could a roadway be so close? He ducked down and crept toward the impending sound, hiding behind one of the larger bushes nearby. It was only a moment before the sound's source revealed itself. Within 50 paces of where Jesper hid, an elegant carriage with gold trim came soaring around a corner of trees, led by two beautiful white horses and conveyed by a stern-looking driver, seated atop the vehicle, flaunting the most sophisticated regalia Jesper had ever seen. It was not just any carriage, it was a royal carriage. Even without ever having witnessed such a sight before, Jesper was certain. The sight had so transfixed him that he stood awestruck, unable to tear away as the carriage approached. The little concealment the bush provided was soon proven unequal to the driver's lofty perch, and upon spotting the boy, he pulled the reins with such effect that the noble steed slid to a sudden halt with precise control. "You boy, get out from behind that bush," he shouted with a rigidity that betrayed a modest amount of fear. "You startled me half to death coming around. You startled me half to death coming around the bend of my own." Oh, this is still the stern-looking driver. "You startled me half to death coming around the bend of my own drive, and me seeing such an unfamiliar face in a place where there ought not be any face." Jesper quickly contemplated running. The man was much older, and his dress was suitable for courtly behavior, not dashing through the bramble and mud. "I was picking berries." Jesper raised the half-filled basket up to allow the driver to see the proof of his words. The demeanor of the man suddenly changed. It was a change that Jesper was familiar with. He had many times seen this stern expression on the most fiendish bandits melt away when presented with a berry basket. Any suspicions that the driver might have had instantly evaporated, or even the notion of a member of the unholy hounds picking berries seemed farcical. The softened expression even made allowance for a smile. "Berries, eh? Say, you couldn't have picked a better spot for 'em, could you? I used to pick berries here as a boy." Jesper took his cue to finally step forward out from behind the bush, proudly brandishing his basket. I know, and what luck I found them. I have only just begun picking, and look how many I have. It would have taken me fourfold the time back home to procure this number." The driver bent down for a closer look. "And where is your home, boy? It must be quite far." Jesper replied with a scripted response. "A little south of Tanner Fork, just past the burnt woods." "My God, that is far. You couldn't have come all the way only this morning." It was true. Tanner Fork was in the exact opposite direction that Jesper had traveled, and while that response would seem perfectly reasonable in a location closer to Blackbridge Canyon, he could see why it might seem less believable here. "Sir, I have traveled much farther for much less profit. I dare say there is no distance yet made by man that would not be so worth undertaking for a prize such as these. Surely you have tasted them yourself?" Jesper felt happier with this response, as it seemed to amplify the man's smile. "In my youth often, but perhaps I took it for granted because I never had to travel very far, and even then my father would always drive us here in our carriage, so I'm ashamed I never had to walk such a stretch to earn an equal reward." It was Jesper's time to smile. Then let my effort reward us both today." He raised the basket even higher. "A taste in memory of your youth, sir." The driver chuckled and removed one glove, bending over the seat to reach down to the basket. And at the moment his finger touched the first berry, a dagger in turn met his throat, cutting through a superficial layer of skin and drawing blood. Jesper caught the man's startled eyes, and for that taste I will have your purse, sir, in memory of my youth. Whoa. The driver's arm had gone stiff, his chin raised and trembling. More frightened than he had ever been before, whether unable or incapable of speaking, he did not respond to the boy. Perhaps he did not think his jaw could afford to be engaged at this particular time. Jesper let the basket drop, freeing his other hand to probe the man's pockets. Do not mistake me, sir. I will not kill you if you give me no cause, though I will admit the thought of taking your carriage and leaving you the indignity of walking appeals to me." whether unable or incapable of speaking. What did I say? Unable to find a purse in the man's coat, Jesper pivoted to search the seat under him. Why have you no purse upon your person? The driver slowly raised his hand, cautiously, pointing toward the carriage door behind him. Jesper lowered the knife's edge a small degree to allow the man to speak, which he did in turn softly. There's a lockbox in the carriage. Well, come down then and grant me the courtesy of sparing your life and binding your hands. A concession, I assure you, of my tender heart, for it would be much easier to slit your throat. The man started to comply, slowly lowering himself from the driver's seat of the carriage. Once down, Jesper guided him away from the carriage to a nearby tree, where he instructed him to get on his knees and put his hands behind his back. Excusing his inexperience, the man indulged Jesper while he figured out how to adequately bind him. The smile and kindness Jesper had seen on this man's face, now nothing more than a distant memory. In their place, cold, dark eyes displaying no emotion. I wonder, should I grant you the same clemency you're showing me? Jesper stopped, surprised by the question, but ignored it. Secured the final bindings, and then hastily returned to the carriage. With one hand on the door's handle, he turned back to the man. If there's no lockbox, there will be no clemency. Inside the carriage was surprisingly dusty and unswept, a stark contrast to the elegant and polished golden facade of the exterior. It had apparently been many years since a passenger had enjoyed passage in this vehicle. This all but confirmed what Jesper had suspected. The driver of this carriage was not a liveried servant in the employ of some greater master. Any curiosity that this observation might have further produced was quickly abandoned upon seeing what rested under the carriage's back seat, a large wooden lockbox. Despite its hefty appearance, the box was surprisingly easy to handle. Within a few minutes, Jesper had dislodged it from its hold and carried it out into the sunlight. Inspecting the box carefully, two observations were made. Totemic symbols found carved on all four sides of the box hinted that the box was very old and likely not created by Arindian hands. It reminded him of artifacts from the old world and was presumably crafted in one of the ancient realms. Secondly, the box was secured by a rusted yet robust padlock and would not open easily without a key. Jesper looked over to see the driver quietly observing from his indentured position. Do you perhaps have a key you could provide me to open this box? Without emotion, the driver replied, There is no key to that box. Jesper stood up. Easy enough then. He headed over to the nearby rock of sizable dimension and lifted the stone up, carrying it back to the box. If there was ever a time when that lock had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. With one hit, the stone had completely shattered the rusted lock. He bent back down and opened the lid. Inside was an effigy, a crude figure chiseled from stone. Without too much deliberation, fucking tired. Sorry, I didn't stutter on that word because of the word. I glanced over at the box, thinking about the what did it say? Totemic symbols carved on all four sides. So I started to wonder if I had the magnifying glass right now. Could I make something from that drawing there? And I don't have one, so that sucks. Without too much deliberation, Jesper bent down and picked it up, somewhat surprised by how heavy it seemed, given how light the box had felt. Having expected to find something more akin to gold or gems, he looked questioningly to the man, hoping to find an explanation. The driver's smile had once again returned. You are cursed, boy, for deadly is the stone. You have opened that which should never have been opened. You are cursed. Jesper carried the effigy over to the man and shoved it in front of his face. What is it? That's one. Feeling his disappointment rising to anger now, Jesper tightened his grip on the effigy. One what? You mumbling a hentor? And in God's name, why have you no purse on your person? The man did not seem intimidated. One pace. He paused for effect. 12 more, and you will be dead. He only had a second to flinch before the effigy struck him in the head and put an end to his cryptic ramblings. If there was ever a time when the old man had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. Jesper looked down at the sculpted stone figure, now splattered red. Was it cursed? Was he cursed? He had of course heard stories of curses, and had never doubted their validity in the past, but now that he was standing face to face with the possibility of being cursed, his mind pleaded with him to be skeptical. If he was cursed, what difference would the knowledge make? A dozen more paces would not be enough to find another living soul. Say nothing of the chances of procuring a remedy. If he did not move from where he now stood, he could live maybe another 3 or 4 days, maybe more given the abundance of nearby berries. A plan that, if we ignore its obvious faults, might provide additional opportunities for help to come along. But what good would that do? To be discovered here, beside a body, stolen goods in hand, bloated from berries and raving out about a curse that could very well not be real. No, it would most certainly be better to face one's fate now, take a dozen paces and see if life goes on. But Jesper found his leg unable to make that first step. His mind was unable to convince his limb to waste away 1/12 of his life in a single motion. Feeling the desperation sink in, he hopelessly looked about him for a solution. And if, by some stroke of luck, the gods had heard his plea, a miracle materialized before him, as if he found himself suddenly at the end of a fairy tale. 2 white horses and a carriage of golden trim were beside him, the answer to his immediate prayer. He laughed at his fortune and calculated the short number of paces back to the road. 4, perhaps only 3 if he jumped. He made a quick survey to see if there was anything he wished to grab before taking the plunge. Thought about removing the driver's fancy coat, as that appeared to be of some value, but the additional risk of undertaking such a task is too great a chance, and so, after a profound breath, he took his second, third, and fourth steps, though they were quite large. Seated now behind the horses, he reached for the reins and suddenly realized that he was still gripping the effigy. If the curse was real, then it would most certainly be better left here. If, on the other hand, the story was fictitious, there might be some appraisal that could be made of the figure. It was, after all, found within a lockbox, whose typical function oft secures objects of value. Having witnessed firsthand the horrors of destitution, Jesper found his mind equally reluctant to allow his hand let go. If it is cursed, I die. If not today, then tomorrow. And if I die, then what care have I? And with that statement said aloud, to the horses seemingly, Jesper took up the reins with confidence. Huh? Part 2, Below the Black Bridge. Who the heck is Miller? Miller awoke to some light nudging from a familiar foot. Only one person would have the cheek to awaken her in such ill-mannered fashion. Shaking the sleep from her eyes, she glared up at him in the darkness, but did not say a word. He nudged her again, teasingly, then stepped back into the dim. After taking a moment for her eyes to adjust to the darkness of the cave, Miller remembered. She was on third watch today, quietly collecting her things and wits. Miller turned as she left. Waving to her young friend, who was more than likely already asleep, she crept through the cavern's main passage, careful not to wake the sleeping bandits around her. Like a hero in a book, she often mused. Quietly, she grabbed a bow from the haphazardly formed pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. She then walked toward the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Above her, in one of the few trees found in the canyon, Miller could see that Ravia was already posted. She waved, and Ravia waved back. Calling out to each other was strictly forbidden. Anything louder than a gesture in the canyon was forbidden. When Miller reached the tree, Ravia lowered a braided rope and pointed to the ground behind her. Miller turned, following the finger, and saw a pail of water resting beside a nearby log. She turned back to Ravia, nodded, and secured the pail to the rope. The pail went up first, and in turn, Miller followed. Ravia reached across to grab the water. Miller leaned back to give her space. There was not much room for maneuvering in this tree post, a necessary concession for the concealment the outpost demanded. Ravia tilted the pail up to her mouth dramatically, illustrating how thirsty she had been. Miller laughed silently as water poured out, splashing onto Ravia's face. It was a bit too daring and noisy of a joke, and had the others been around, they would have certainly been scolded for the unwarranted. Wait. Certainly been scolded for the unwarranted sound, but Miller appreciated the effort Ravia took to verbalize the silence of the morning. They had been on third watch together for over a month, and during that speechless time, their friendship had grown into something special. Affection was unsurprisingly scarce among the unholy hounds. She had felt camaraderie before, of course, but intimacy never. For their elevated vantage, the girls could see both the concealed entrance of the cavern as well as a clear view of the bridge that spanned across the canyon. Black Bridge was the link between the Gentrylands and the northern mountains, the overpass that connected Otis and Reddington. To the city-faring travelers of the realm, the bridge was an unavoidable crossing. In the day, the task was to ensure that travelers passed by without stopping. At night, the task was to ensure that they do. Like most of her band, Miller preferred the night. The biting glare of the sun might be tolerable to farmhands and bricklayers, but to a cavern-housed bandit, it was a source of constant annoyance. In the day, there was no shroud to conceal her expressions, nor to hide her thoughts. She felt exposed. Ravia touched her elbow and pointed up. Miller, striving to suppress a budding smile, suddenly shook her head up in response. There were many signs that the unholy hounds used in lieu of words, but the two of them had developed an extended vocabulary. Gestures quietly forged in the shared solitude of their month among the branches. She watched as Ravia shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Miller knew that she was trying to say what she was trying to say, but shook her head a second time. It was often more fun to pretend not to understand. Ravia rolled her eyes and turned away, looking back to the canyon, squinting through the leaves. The two girls held still, watching and listening. It was not long until Miller, too, heard the sounds of approach. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and a few moments later 2 men emerged from the bridge's southern end. They were dressed in a familiar uniform, long gray coats with black facings, white waistcoats, and black tricorn hats. They belonged to the local patrol, the Black Guard. Although not an everyday occurrence, their presence at Black Bridge wasn't an unusual sight. Typically indicated an important traveler's impending passage across a bridge. Information that the girls would promptly relay to their leader as soon as the coast was clear. But this report, while exciting, was rarely acted upon. In Miller's 5 years in the Unholy Hounds, She had never seen a carriage taken in open daylight when the blackguard was nearby. The man had nearly reached the bridge's north end when Miller heard the horses. Faintly at first, but growing louder with each passing moment, Ravia's eyes met Miller's, the same concern mirrored in each other's expression. This did not sound like the typical carriage, cautiously approaching the bridge to cross. Instead of a familiar crunch of the high road's gravel, they heard the harsh clattering of hoofbeats against stone. Both girls quickly redirected their attention downwards, looking through the The sounds were not coming from the high road, but from the canyon itself. The horses were coming from below the bridge. In an instant, Miller had knocked an arrow and drawn her bow. Go! Ravia was gone before the whisper had even left Miller's mouth. The young scout was already sliding down the bank below, racing toward the cave. There was no road that ran below the canyon. There was no reason for numerous horses to be approaching their cave. There was only one reasonable conclusion, and both girls had reached it instantly. The base had been compromised. This was a blackguard attack. The moment the horses came into view, Miller let loose her first arrow. She was surprised to see a carriage. She had expected cavalry. Before she even finished processing that thought, her second arrow was in the air. Without a trail, it would be unthinkable for a carriage to traverse such rough terrain. Yet she watched as the wheels jolted over the rocky riverbed. A third arrow was now in flight, and there would be no need for a fourth. The driver slumped over just moments before the vehicle dipped into a small ditch, slamming into an embankment. The force of the sudden halt immediately shattered the front two wheels and catapulted the driver from his seat. Utterly confused now, Miller quickly glanced over her shoulder to see if any horses were also approaching from the rear. Down in the canyon, the entire horde of the unholy hounds came spilling forth from the earth as if hell itself had suddenly sprung open. The group seemed even more bewildered than Miller, half asleep and tripping over one another in a desperate attempt to engage an unseen enemy in combat. Miller could see Ravia among their number, the only one looking up at her. Her expression was chilling. There would be no need for a silent gesture to convey what they both now realized. They had made a mistake. The gang's chieftain, Jeffrey Heartslasher. Jeffrey Heartslasher led the others, cautiously approaching the crashed carriage like a suspicious fox would near a baited trap. There were no words exchanged as the group crept forward in customary silence. A dozen or so paces in front of the wreckage lay the far-flung driver, an arrow protruding from his broken body, and beside him a blood-stained effigy carved from stone. Get fogged, Jesper. Is that the effigy? Miller was inconsolable. Jesper had always been her favorite. He had always shadowed her in the night, clinging to the hems of her every move, the way a child tails behind an older sibling. Tender-hearted, she had always called him, though deep down she had known that wasn't quite true. Oh, tender-hearted, she always called him. His appearance of gentleness concealed a raw, resilient durability that emerged in the most perilous of situations. He had been a flower among the nettles in this cave, but he still had thorns, honed by a grim past and 100 hands of misfortune. They buried him in the darkness, in the back of one of the larger cavern rooms. He was interred with a berry basket with a silk handkerchief that he had treasured. The mysterious effigy they had found beside him served as a distinguished gravestone, a marker that stood out as somewhat special among the rows of similar swords marking neighboring plots. No one spoke, not even in whispers. There was nothing to say. There's the Orinda symbol. Not sure I've seen this effigy looking thing before. What is it? Miller awoke the next day to a thunderous shaking and rattling of the earth, a far cry from the playful nudging of the previous day. She strained to adjust her eyes, but the choking sting of stirred-up dust caused her to flinch. Panic was also in the air. The sounds of scurried footsteps and clattering feet filled the space around her. But even in alarm, the silence was louder. What was it that sounded so strange? Miller closed her eyes tight and used her feet to guide her along the passage. The whispers around her were getting louder, and intense voices could be heard ahead. Louder speech than she had ever spoken in the canyon. Heard spoken in the canyon. A growing dread grew as Miller approached the mouth of the cave, her eyes now open wide despite the dust. Shouldn't it be day? Miller felt a hand in the darkness pulling at her. It was Ravia. The two embraced, and Miller did not need to see her to understand. Ravia placed two bent fingers behind Miller's cheek. And with that touch against her face, Miller felt the same sinking feeling from the previous day. Two bent fingers confirmed what Miller had suspected. The girls had forgotten to relay one critical piece of information to the others. An hour or so later, the screams began, blood-curdling cries of hopeless desperation. Captain Foderick Lee of the Blackguard looked down from the ridge of the canyon to the collapsed entrance of the cave. Ah, he grinned. Now they speak. What was the thing they forgot to relay? Oh, that's it. Okay. uh... Okay, yeah, probably the fact that she saw some people dressed in a familiar uniform, long gray coats with black-facing white waistcoats and black tricorn hats. The local patrol, the Blackguard. She saw them. And then, after that, they heard more hooves in the cavern, which took all of their attention. Okay. But what is the significance of this story? I know Blackbridge Cave is the cave with the microchip. Or at least the Blackbridge terminal is down there. And then IIOO. No, these are all Hollow Knight piano arrangements. There's a note in that cave that says IIOO. Don't know what that means. Why the fuck did I read all that? What the fuck was that, dude? The last one that you heard? Yeah. Well, it was just Grim Troop in general. What were they called? The something hounds? Did I skip a bunch of pages? What the fuck? I did. I missed some pages. I don't even have the part 2 picture. Fuck, man. Okay, what could the password be? This is admin key, though. It could be anything. There's so many, like, nouns. Chester. Blackbridge. It wouldn't just be one of their names, would it? Unholy hounds. Doesn't fit. How did I miss a couple of pages? Man, it feels bad to have read that whole thing and not know what the fuck I'm supposed to take away from it. That sucks. Mm. Link me the Xenoblade 3 song. It was just an enjoyable story. For 40 coins? I guess. Man, I really want to... I didn't get any good runs in today, but I'm so tired. And then I know I probably won't play this weekend. Fuck it, I'm playing tomorrow. I'm gonna go to sleep for now. Thanks for coming by. Have a good week. Oh, I forgot. I asked you to link that. Okay. What were some of the highlights, Hank, from yesterday? Or not, from the VOD? All right. I don't know why it stopped. I can't even continue it. The fuck? Yeah. I don't know about that decision to have broken the piggy bank. But it's done now. Whoa. is quite epic. Ooh, I like this part. Rebuilding tension. One thing I would like to share with you is in one of the classrooms, I was farming classrooms to get more info. I found a pretty good globe type stuff. I was able to derive some shit from that. So I was able to put this together. Those are my core drawings, which is why they're so sloppy. Sleepy, but still bobbing to the music? That means it's good shit. How weird that there's only 7. So we just learned Orinda areas, which is not listed here. Which was the black colored ore. There was a civil war, and it eventually was renamed and taken over to be Fen Ares. Because in that war, Eraha, nation of Eraha, which is the southern part here, and Nuance even joined in to fight Orinda Ares. So it was like overwhelming odds. These... Is that what was censored in the history book? I don't remember the history book, the original one though. So I don't know. Probably. These 3 nations here used to all be one nation as well, and then the king separated his lands to give to his 3 sons in the 3rd era, or his 3 children. Yeah, and then eventually some shit went down. We know very little about the left side realms over here, Morajai, Vera, and Korarika. Oh yeah, you're right. That book was old. So it would have the Orinda symbol instead of the Fen Ares symbol. So 8 realms in 8 months. I don't know, man. I don't understand that still. I'm still wondering, like, does the Western hemisphere over there have any point to them other than, like, these puzzles? Um, Yeah, I was wondering about that too because he says the first thing he'll do is go south. And we know the first letter he wrote to send back to Anne Babbage um, was from Orinda. So we don't know if that counts as number one or number two. Because we know he also went home back to Fen Aries. So that could be number 8. Or it could be the starting point as number 1. So once we have more info, we can deduce that. Here, check this shit out. Yeah, here's this. Well, I feel like I had more art somewhere. I think it was just this, yeah. Yeah, I had deduced um I had to deduce all that earlier from studying all these kids' homework papers and, and figuring out which answers were right and wrong. So that took me a long ass time. But it was kind of fun. Oh, I was actually looking for this earlier too. I don't know what any of this means. Corners, yeah. I stared at these forever and like, gosh, there's so much detail he put in this world. It's ridiculous. The devoted moon has its own rogue moon. And he even accounted like for how land masses might be stretched and distorted for the fact that the globe is round. So like when you're looking here, like I assume this is a bottom axis, like you're looking at the planet's butthole. So it's like all of these landmasses are weird and stretched looking. And since I can zoom in, you can actually see as well, like some of these core symbols are here, which helped a lot in helping me figure things out. Here, this thing seems important. Don't know what the hell this means. Yeah, there's so much, man. There's so much. This spiral, the spiral of stars, we see in the Ladyship Chamber is an illustration of this, saying, "Does it never end?" Like I don't know why they would write that. I'm just now noticing this. The eye. And the fact that this is third era does indicate this was made either during or before the war that I mentioned. Look, man, he's even got like a fucking solar system planned out. I don't recall if I had a magnifying glass during this, but yeah. Anyway, game is fun, but today was really bad sessions, I would say. Okay, good night. Have a good weekend.